Welcome to the Stop the Warehouse Town Hall meeting. Here is your PAS Action Group President Randy Robbins.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? We finally got some warmer weather. I'm tired of this cold weather this year. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Randy Robbins. I'm the president of the PAS Action Group. And we wanted to come together today. The PAS Action Group board has been working very hard, keeping everything going, trying to keep fundraising, get the information out to you guys, and that's the purpose of today. This is your town hall. We call it the town hall, but this is yours. You guys have been the supporters from day one. Both those of you on TV or watching at home on TV and those of you in here, we appreciate you tremendously in this fight against the Banning Point Warehouse. So before we get into the entire program, I do want to introduce your board of directors of the PAS Action Group. We started in October, I guess it was, of 2021, October, November, and for the first over a year, we met once a week. Many of you heard that, but to go over everything necessary, understanding everything that we needed to understand about the project, the process to slow down the project, stop the project, and that's been our goal from day one. So I'd like to introduce our board, and board, if you could please stand up and stay standing till we're all done. So first off, well, obviously you've got me as the president. Jim Corrigan is the vice president. Jeannie Lloyd, stay standing, Jim. Jeannie Lloyd, Jim, stand up. There you go. Our secretary, Jan Fleming. Our de facto attorney, Diane Burley. Bruce Brown. Bob Hicks. Jim Moran. Ron Roy. Lori Matsushita, who is represents the lakes on this board. Gracie Luna, who represents Four Seasons on this board. John Swim, and Harry Finnegan. So give them a round of applause for all the hard work they've been doing. Thank you very much. Okay, the next thing I want to get into, back in election time, in October, I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Extian Gutierrez, who is now our county supervisor. At that meet, so give him a round of applause. At that meeting, before he was elected, Supervisor Gutierrez made a lot of statements specifically to myself and Virginia Cervantes. Raise your hand, Virginia, who put together the meeting. He made a lot of comments about what he would do. He actually did a short video that we shared on the New Sun Lakers Facebook page, basically giving us support. At our last town hall, to those of you that were not here, we received a letter of support from the supervisor for our cause as the PAS Action Group. So at this time, I'm gonna ask the supervisor to come on up and say a few words.
Well, again, I just want to thank you all. I want to thank actually Randy, the board, for doing this town hall, and I'm here just to show my support. Like I mentioned earlier, we have taken an opposition, the County of Riverside, especially the 5th District, to oppose this project, and we are here to show that support. We do also want to let you know that we have a lot of county resources with the Office on Aging as well that's available. Not a lot of people are accessing those resources, by the way. So from legal referrals to hot meals to transportation. So please feel free. You can reach out to our office by emailing us at district5@rivco.org or just dialing the number 951-955 1050, and then we can open up a case to assist you as well. But again, thank you for your leadership, for your advocacy for the people of Sun Lakes and Four Seasons and Banning, for really stepping up and doing what's right for the community. Again, thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this event.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. We appreciate it. They may be running out of here very soon because they have another meeting. So, but thank you again for making time for us. We greatly appreciate it. As we all know, this fight is, based on the Banning Point Warehouse specifically, but there's a lot of things going on within the city. We're going to have our council member, Sherry Flynn, come up and say a few words at this point regarding the Sunset Crossroads and where it stands within the city. Go ahead, Sherry.
Good afternoon. Glad to be back here. It's been a while. As your city council person, whoops, I always do this. Is that okay? It's so close. Here. Okay. As your city council person, I attended. You can't. Not close. Now? Okay. I attended the strategic planning meeting last Saturday. It was held over at the farmhouse. It was an all-day affair. We had all of the different directors from the different departments present their department and their projects, and we were able to ask questions. It was all of the council members, and it was also open to the public. So I had asked questions about Sun Lakes Boulevard Extension and also the Sunset Crossroads. I don't know if many of you know, if you're new, Sunset Crossroads is east of Highland Home Road and west of Sunset. It's 533 acres total. It has 8 acres will be general commercial, 397 acres will be industrial land use with 10 warehouses. 69 acres will be open space, and that includes roads within it. And there will be 295,000 square feet of commercial and 5.5 million square feet of logistics warehouses. And then they need to annex, the city would need to annex from the county 253 acres. So almost half of the property would need to be annexed from the county. So everything south of, if there's an extension of Sun Lakes Boulevard, would be county land, and everything north of that is city land. So they would have to go through an annexation. Sun Lakes Boulevard Extension is moving forward. The RCTC, Riverside County Transportation Commission, of which I'm a commissioner on, just voted to grant $13.5 million for the extension of Sun Lakes Boulevard. They say that they are $11.5 million short. The city believes they're $14 million more short. The city believes they'll get $4 million from TUMF, which is transportation taxes, $1.5 million from Measure A, and that will leave at least a $6 million shortfall, which they will either do a CFD, Community Facilities District, for that area over there, which would be a special district set up where you would be taxed for like 30 years to pay for the difference. That would also have to go for a vote, or else they will make the developer pay the whole thing, because the way RCTC works, they'll dedicate $13.5 million, but if they don't get the other 11.5 or 14, then that money goes away. So you don't get to use part of it. You either have to have the whole thing funded or it all goes away. So when I asked the question, well, what happens then? Well, then they will make the developer foot the whole $27 million for the road. But there's also problems with the road because Kinder Morgan, they're a huge pipeline company. They have pipelines all over the country. There's a large natural gas pipeline going through that property. And right now they're putting up a lot of roadblocks with the city and with the landowner because they have to have 25 feet minimum beside their pipeline on each side. for right-of-way, and the city's plans have this road going over their pipeline. So that's a real thing. It's going to be hard to overcome. So right now, that's kind of at a standstill. There's also Fish and Wildlife, who there's problems with silt with the area. There's 3 streams that run through there, fairly major streams that run through there. They also have a problem with wildlife that will be affected, and also they've also actually said in the their notice that it's going to be a problem, and they would like for the city to consider no development in their EIR. And then also CARB, California Air Resources Board, they are requiring zero-emission trucks to, if that does go in eventually. So good luck with that, but but anyways. So that's kind of an update right now. I don't know if you want to answer any questions, but I just wanted to let you know what was going on. The EIR, I was told, for Sunset Crossroads may be available as soon as August, and then you'll have 45 days to review it. The public has 45 days to review it, send in whether they're for or against it, and any comments. So be aware of that it is moving forward. But the developer doesn't want to go forward until they know that road is going to be built. So there's a lot of different pieces going on. But thank you very much. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Let me get a microphone over to him. We'll take a few questions right now, but then, of course, Sherry, be sure to give your contact info. Sorry, I kicked your purse there.
I looked up the EIR process a number of years ago. In my understanding, they have an ABCDF process. My understanding, if a developer had a D or an F, all they had to do was get it to a C minus. We put a development in Glendora, which has a major traffic problem with the site coming in. And all they had to do is take a D minus up to a C minus, which wasn't a hell of a lot improved, excuse my French, okay? So is that the same grading they have now, A, B, C, D?
No, they don't. No, they don't have
Oh, good,
a grade.
because
No.
that didn't work with us.
Yeah, no. I haven't heard of that before. I think that's,
Change the line.
yeah.
When they start any of that, is Mr. Adam Rush only going to mail out only his 300 letters of notification where there's more than 300 people, which I believe he should notify a lot of that, not only for our area,
Right.
but also for the east area and the south area as well?
Well, it's 300 feet from the project, and you know there's not much out there. So obviously along Highland Home should be notified, but you know, I as a council member would definitely try to push to have a very broad area notified, because we know that that wasn't really done here. So yeah, but it's still 300 feet. You know, I would still like to get a ordinance that we could not have any warehouses within 1,000 feet of any sensitive receptors, which means schools, places like the lakes, yeah, senior areas, and I would still like to try to get an ordinance or a resolution put through the city council to do that. You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Oh, go ahead. One more.
Yeah, I just have a question, and I'm embarrassed to show my ignorance, but the first gentleman that spoke before, and he talked about all these letters, the alphabet letters, A, B, C, D, and all this, I don't know what it means. I don't know if everybody else does.
It's not used anymore.
So was he referring to?
I'm not sure. It used to be a different process, but now it's an environmental impact report through CEQA, so it's not using that type of rating system.
Okay, maybe. Thank you.
Bruce, there's microphones in front of the board there if you need one, Bruce. And we'll let Bruce make a statement. I've got one question back here. I saw somebody with a hand up, and then we'll get moving on.
I've been involved in Belarus type things before, and at that time, only the developer got a vote in an area. Would more of the city get a vote on that tax?
Well, typically a developer would get a vote on a CFD because it hasn't been developed yet, but for the people who would pay the CFD are the people who exist there around that neighborhood, so they would have to vote for that.
Yeah, well, it usually ends up just the developer.
Right.
One vote.
Right.
Okay, Bruce, go ahead. Did you have a question? Did you turn it on? Okay.
The light's on, I must be on. Sherry, when they do the extension of Sun Lakes Boulevard, you and I have talked about that it's really not currently a truck route. And that my concern, a lot of people's concerns are when they build that Flying J site down there, that the trucks that would go to a banning point like the location would be an issue if it existed. But even if it didn't exist, people would be tempted to exit at Highland Springs and head down Sun Lakes Boulevard to get to that diesel site because it's going to be well lit and everybody's going to know you can go through there. Originally, when we wanted Sun Lakes Boulevard to go through, and we still do, we needed it for access at both ends for emergency vehicles. So and people needed to have an escape route in case there was an earthquake, and that affected the Indian reservation and all of us. So it's a big deal, but it's worse than a big deal if it becomes a truck route and they can, turn left all the time and head down our street 24/7 to a 24-hour station to get diesel fuel and sleep, and I understand why they would want to do it. But is it going to be defined as a truck route, or is it currently, or will it be, or how do we stop it?
Well, currently it's not a truck route, but it is a future designated truck route by Adam Rush, and he had said to me it is an existing truck route. We were required to do that by Caltrans, but Caltrans doesn't have anything to do with that road. So that's something that you'll have to, in the future when it comes up, people need to come into the city council meetings and express their opinion on that. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, the city development planning wants it to be a designated truck route. So that is something that I would not obviously be for at all.
Hang on, Jack. Hang on, Jack. Okay, this will be the last question because we've got to get moving on, but here you go, Jack.
Is there anything about parking to be discussed, has been discussed so far on the extension of Highland Springs Boulevard? Yeah.
No, that hasn't. That has not come up yet. We haven't had the project come to the city council, nor Sunset Crossroads has come to the city council yet. Anything
Okay.
else? Well,
All
thank
right.
you very much for
Thank
letting
you,
me give you
Sherry.
an update. Thank you.
One last thing I'll say on that, just from a clarity standpoint, I totally agree. We do not want to see Sunset Crossroads. We do not want to see truck parking allowed on Sun Lakes Boulevard, even if the extension does go through. We've had conversations with the city as part of the past action group with this area right out here, and we've gotten nowhere on that regard at this point. So that's why, as we get into the legal stuff in a minute here, that's what we'll do. Yes, sir. That's all going to be up to within the city and with what you're talking about on Sun Lakes Boulevard right out here. That I'll come back to that in just a minute. So for clarity on the Sunset Crossroads, like I said, that currently we as the past action group are not addressing that directly. We may be prepared to in the future, but like Sherry's last words there, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry, it hasn't gone to the council yet. The EIR is due in August. That's when action can start being taken to fight against it, is when it actually starts getting processed. And then with regards to Banning Point, just the gentleman's question over here was what about the trees and vegetation currently on Sun Lakes Boulevard? That's all part of the whole process. Those of you that don't recall, and those of you who do recall, of course, we missed the EIR 45-day limit originally, and then we were able to go back in with other causes as well as the EIR because they changed it from the 47 acres. This very simplistically, not necessarily legally speaking, they changed it from the 47 acres to 30, 10, and 7, and that reopened the door, not for a new EIR, but at least for a new argument. Yeah, and they did all of that stuff during the pandemic, as Diane just reminded me. So, all right, so we're gonna move along with where we are here. So the next thing I want to do, as we've said, the PAS Action Group has done a lot of work. The support of the community has been phenomenal. The other thing that you can start doing, if we have 4 causes in our lawsuit, if we win one of them, or multiple, if we win one of the cause or 2 cause, 3, 4, we have the chance to get a do-over. That's a very simplistic statement, but that means it may go back to the city. The judge may send it back to the city. The judge may not. It may require a new EIR. So I put this slide together for us. We need to start contacting our state senator, Rosalisi Ochoa-Bo, and our state assemblyman, Greg Wallace. There's the contact information. This will be replayed on Channel 97. So you can get it from there. If you're unable to get it today, I'll leave that up there. There are 2 pending legislations. Who knows what's going to happen with them? One is AB 1000. AB 1000 was put together by, I believe it's the Fontana San Bernardino area Assemblywoman Reyes. And that would require a 1,000-foot setback, as Sherry mentioned, with regard to her hopes for the city to do the same. A 1,000-foot setback from sensitive receptors, okay? And we don't currently have that. The problem with that one failed in one committee. It's now been resubmitted to another committee. So that one, quite frankly, we don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't look good right this moment. And that would be a statewide assembly bill. AB 1247 was put together by Assemblymember Ramos out of San Bernardino area, formerly the chairman of the San Manuel tribe. And he put AB 1247, again, don't hold me to every single detail, but I think I've got it pretty good. This would require a 300-foot setback of any warehouse over 250,000 square feet, which ours is designated for 619 and change, or Banning Point. I will not say ours again, sorry about that. And that would be in Riverside and San Bernardino counties only, and it passed the first committee. But 300 feet is not very much to help Sun Lakes Country Club. Plain and simple, or the Four Seasons, or the traffic related to it on Highland Springs. So I'll leave that up there for a minute, and then we'll. And so if you need that information, just write them a letter. Just say who you are and what your concern is over the warehouses. The warehouses in all of California, not just here, just to try to get their attention, see what they can do. As we've learned in the last nearly 2 years now, these are city decisions. The state can, without the state writing the new laws and the new bills, we cannot, the cities can still do what they want to do. And that's where it is right now. Okay, so by doing this might pressure some of them to do it. And also, as I spoke to one assembly person recently, and it was stated that we can possibly put pressure on the city one way or another, even though the law is not there. So if we can reach out and say, look, your constituency, there we go, untie my tongue here, your constituency is not happy with what's happening and we want to see some change. And so sometimes that can happen. So that's our best bet at this point on that. So to moving on, I'm going to turn this over to Diane at this point. And she's going to explain some things that have happened recently within our case. And you want to use that one? Okay. And you have to get really close to it.
Can you hear me? Okay. Actually, one main thing that happened is that we got a new judge on the case. We were originally assigned to Judge Craig Reimer, who had a very good reputation for being very thorough, good judge. My law partner knew him from a bar committee and was very impressed with him. He decided to retire. So a new judge, Judge Hopp, was assigned Judge Reimer's caseload. Now, Judge Hopp, we did a little research. One of our members put some feelers out in the business community, and it is pretty much the consensus that Judge Hopp is a very thorough, meticulous judge, and we need someone who really pays attention to detail, really looks at the IR and other documents, and apparently he's a good choice for a replacement. So that's one worry. Of course, you can never predict what a judge will rule, but it's one worry less. You know, we just want somebody who really, really looks at this case and doesn't glide over the top of the facts, really digs in and sees what the problems are and listens to, takes our causes of action very seriously. The hearing at this point before Judge Hopp is still scheduled for November 17th. It wouldn't surprise me if it gets changed depending on his calendar, if it has some variances from Judge Reimer's calendar. We just don't know. But right now, we are looking at that hearing, and our attorneys are preparing for it. And then once the judge rules, we'll get a written ruling, probably something in the form of a written decision called the findings of fact and the conclusions of law. There's a lot of different things that could happen. As Randy referred to, the judge could send it back for a new EIR, could send part of it back for a new EIR. We could end up appealing. The other side could end up appealing. We just have a lot of permutations of what could happen. So at this point, we're focusing on the hearing on November 17th, and then once the decision is made, we'll have a whole new set of considerations. Any questions? No? Okay.
Thank you, Diane. All right, the next thing we want to talk about, Jeannie is our treasurer. So if anybody has anything they'd like to talk to her about specifically, you can talk to her about specifically. Any donations can go direct to her as well. But I want to let you know where we're at. I'm going to bring up a slide here. Legal fees to date, we've paid approximately $260,000. We have raised well over $300,000. It's still, quite frankly, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And the way this community has pulled together, we've been here, my wife and I have been here for 5 years, and seeing this community pull together as it has just been phenomenal. And I know I've used that word a lot, and I'll probably keep using it more tonight or today. So the additional fees that we're expected to need to finish from that 260, and this would be if we get to an appeal. We had a conference call with the attorney. As you know, in the past, we've been a little reluctant, not about individuals that are part of the community, but letting it out into the community how much we've raised, and so forth. And as at previous town halls, there seemed to be a voice majority that was a good tactic. We're nearing the end of the finish line now. I don't think we're as worried about the tactical aspect of where the money is. So we're putting it more out there, and quite frankly, out more in public. And again, we were never hiding from anybody. I know there's been quite a few people that have met with Jeannie just to make sure that they were comfortable with where their donations went, and I'm happy for that. So we need to finish this in legal fees, approximately $40,000 to $50,000. That includes an appeal, whether we appeal the decision or they appeal and we have to answer. So whichever it is. We have, out of that additional $50,000, we have almost 90% of that right this minute. So we're sitting good. We've gotten a few donations already today. This is not going to be a major scream and holler and beg for money like we've done in the past. I'll admit that's what we've done. Maybe not begged, but pleaded. So anyway, so that's where we're at. So overall, we have over 90% of the necessary funds what we need to do. And that's going to lead us up to our very next thing. And John Swem would like to make an introduction.
First off, I would like to see you give yourselves a round of applause. Randy used the word phenomenal. You guys are more than phenomenal. We couldn't, it's not on?
No, it's on. Just keep it close to your mouth.
Okay, there we go. We couldn't have begun to do or to represent you without your support. And your support has been unending. I mean, from the start, we've been organizing and raising funds, paying lawyers, organizing, raising funds, paying lawyers. And you guys have been behind us every step of the way. It's a great feeling to be here and to be trying to do something with the whole community behind you. It is phenomenal. You are. And today we would like to honor one person of our community who is exceptional. She has done so much for us, not that anybody to lessen it, what everybody else has done. Some of you have given us 9 checks, 8 checks, hundreds of dollars, thousands. It's all been effective for the cause. It's helped us move forward. But this one person does it day after day, week after week. And I would like to introduce you to Dory.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, I started this now 1 year ago, and I had a goal to try and be a helpful community member here. And I needed your help in order for me to achieve the goals that I had set. And I originally set a goal, maybe I'll get $400, $500. Well, we met that. And when I say we, it's you who brought recyclables to me that allowed me to meet that. So then I set a second goal. I said, how about $1,000 a month? What do you say we earn that? And I thought that was good. We have done that 3 months in a row now. So I've set a new goal. I am asking you guys to help me reach $1,500 every single solitary month. So please keep coming to my home. The door is always open, and I'm always there sitting in my garage. And thank everyone here for helping me contribute to this fight.
And you've probably seen these bins around. I brought the one that normally sits by that door. We've been collecting wine bottles. As I wrote on there, if you can drink it, she can recycle it. That's her motto. Okay? So I've been in her garage. There's a lot of vodka and a lot of wine that goes on in this place. So anyway, Dory, you're tremendous. Thank you. And everybody also, you're tremendous. All right, now to step back onto the business side all at once, boo. We do not want that warehouse. That is their artist rendering of the Banning Point warehouse. Okay? And that's why we're here today. It's why we've been doing this almost 2 years now, a year and a half plus. If I had the technological savvy, I would have had a nice circle and a red line through it, but I don't have that savvy. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that up there just to remind you what we do not want to be looking at on top of the legitimate stuff of the air quality, the traffic, and all of that, so forth. The visual's bad enough, but everything else is terrible. So that's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Okay, the next thing I'd like to bring up, Jim Corrigan, our Vice President, talking about a social event that we're going to do.
Good evening. So our last fundraiser that we put on at the South Clubhouse was back in May. And from May to November, the court date, it's quite a span of time. So we're going to be putting on a little attention getter to just try to stay before the community at the next Music Under the Stars on July 29th. Out there off the veranda, out behind on the golf range. And we're going to set up an easy up. We're going to have some signs up. We're going to have a dessert table, donations set up for desserts. And we're going to put on a little event and have a bean bag toss like a cornhole and try to raise some money a little bit. It's not really a fundraiser. Again, we're just trying to remind the community, don't forget about this. Don't forget about this, well, the picture we saw last, the warehouse. And again, the funds that it may take as we face an appeal come the November court date and the judgment that this case brings about. So just a little update for you all that we're trying to be an attention getter for our community and to continue a presence so that everybody stays refreshed, reminded. Oh, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Jim. Like Jim said, the goal of this event is a no charge, it's not a fundraiser. We might have some fundraising of a little games that'll help buy the prizes. That's the goal. The goal is to stay on top of it. Oh, we do have one other thing that we are going to do. Again, this will be a very passive fundraiser. We're working, again, my technological savvy failed me again. We're going to have some T-shirts out at that event that are going to just say Pass Action Group. It's going to say no warehouses, and then making a reference for the entire community, not just Sun Lakes, about our traffic is also your traffic. So we're gonna have some T-shirts out there. We're getting the artwork finished up on it, but in general they're gonna be blue with white writing and a red circle on it, which somebody's got at the set. No, we've got a graphic artist that's gonna do that. So those will be going on. If anybody wants to order any today, you can talk to Jeannie and she'll take care of you. If you happen to be a specific size you want to make sure you get, because we're going to order random sizes and figure it out otherwise. So that was that on that. And let's see if that was the last slide. Okay, that's the last slide. Before I do any closing comments, is there anybody from the board that would like to say anything else? Oh, and the T-shirts are going to sell for $20. $20 today, maybe more on the 29th, according to John. So, anybody on the board have anything you'd like to add? Okay, Jen? And then we'll do questions.
We're going to have that under the stars, and it's going to be fun. We're having games, and somebody's going to win something. But I need some cooks or bakers to bake cookies or brownies or whatever you're really good at. And we need it for like the week of the thing on the 28th. I got a big refrigerator. I can put whatever you bake in my refrigerator and bring it out for that day, because if you buy a shirt, you could probably get something off the table. Okay, so let Randy know if you can bake that last week before we have this out in the golf course. So you can eat and you can dance and you can have a good time, but I do need bakers, so give it a thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, Diane said no. Okay, we're gonna start up a question and answer. Jim's gonna run around, and I'll run another mic around if we need to. And so I'll start here with Jack.
Just curious, does anybody, at least in the board, have any sense of how the city and the developer feel about how things are moving along? Are they happy as hell, or are they starting to get pretty worried, or does anybody have a sense of that?
All I can say is when I was in business, if I was them, I'd be worried. Okay, go ahead. Hold down the left button until it turns green, then let go.
Check.
Randy, I'm curious, in the past, the percentage of households in Sun Lakes that have contributed has been pretty low. I was just wondering if over the last few months, if that has increased, not the amount, but the percentage of people that have started to contribute.
When's the last time we ran that? I'm looking at the treasurer.
Real recently, but it is minutely. We were at around 30%. We finally got up to around 30%. We might be at 32, 33.
Okay. Well, we're at over 30% of the households represented in here. It's gone up a little bit since last time, as far as we can tell. We haven't run it exact, to be honest, absolutely honest with you, but it's gone up a little bit over last time. I know sometimes that number may seem a little low, but if you want to add this, call this a marketing campaign. Any marketing campaign that gets over 5% is considered phenomenal. And we are at 30% of the households represented in here. And so, yes, we haven't gotten everybody, but that's just where we're at. That's human nature. And so go from there. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi, Catherine Hickman. I'm a Sun Lakes resident. I don't have a question, but I have just a couple of comments. Very briefly, I'd like to thank you for having these forums. I do not have a computer. I think there are more of us that don't than you may realize, and I depend on the little updates in the lifestyles and these meetings to keep up with what's going on. But today I find out I am way, way behind, and that's kind of scary. But just, don't forget that there are those of us who need to be communicated with. The other thing is also to deal with communications. It kind of scares me that there is too much emphasis on Sun Lakes and the lakes. I mean, even Mr. Gutierrez only mentioned those. This is such a much bigger issue than just the people that are immediately next to this potential project. So I want to make a suggestion. I've never used this, and I don't really know how you go about doing it, but I periodically get these little cards in the mail They are not addressed to me. They come to our friends or local postal customer. And they're always from small businesses or concerns. You know, I've got a heating and air conditioning, a plumber, a church, the Ramona pageant. There's a number of, you know, small concerns that put these out. So my inference is that it's not horribly expensive to do. And I think we should tackle this by having a mass mailing throughout the pass, not just here locally, but to people in Beaumont as well as Banning. Anybody who shops locally is going to be impacted by the traffic. Anybody who uses the freeway exits, the emergency services. I mean, we all know those issues, but I think throughout the pass, most people have forgotten that this is still a living issue. They either think it's Sun Lakes against the city, or they think it was resolved a long time ago. Our 2-bit local newspaper has not printed anything about this in a very long time. And I mean, you can imagine what sort of pressure was put on them. And so they just stopped publishing anything. For a little while, there were a few letters to the editor, but they were only from Sun Lakes residents, giving the impression again that it's a Sun Lakes issue. We had our banner out front, we had people on the street with signs, but again, Sun Lakes. And we need to get this information out wholesale so that people understand it's still going on, and to let them know there is a lawsuit.
Okay, no, thank you very much for that. And early on, we did make a lot of attempts, quite frankly, to reach out to other members of the community, and some of them are sitting in this room right now. Early on, we did make that effort, but at that time, it was primarily based on financial, but maybe it is time to revisit it. Maybe it is time to revisit from an informational standpoint. Thank you. Sir? Go ahead.
This is on? Yep. This is on?
Yep, it's on.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Wolf on Turnberry. First, a comment and then a question for our resident attorney. The comment is, you know, based on the 80-20 rule, you know, 80% of the work is done by 20% of the volunteers. So your 32%, in my estimation, is phenomenal. So hats off to you, Randy and Jeannie. The question I have is for the attorney. How long after the judge does his review is there a response?
I'm guessing, because we originally, as a lot of people know, we thought we were going to have a hearing this spring, and then we got a November 17th court date, which surprised all of us, including our counsel, our actual attorneys that are litigating this. So I can't tell you. I can tell you based on my experience that I would expect to have a written decision within about a month. The judge probably has, typically a judge would have worked the case up thoroughly, and his staff would have produced probably some kind of tentative opinion or draft opinion, and then after the hearing, there may be changes based on what's talked about during the hearing. So I'm guessing a month. I could be wrong. Judge could be backlogged, and it might take longer. We're getting into the holidays there.
I hope so.
Longer the better. The other thing I wanted to say is that I just wanted to make clear that once we get to the point of getting a decision, then that's where when we're talking about our fundraising, that's where we're projecting our legal fees at this point. And I didn't make it real clear when I was talking before. Once we get a decision from the judge, there are a myriad of things that could occur, and it's hard to predict, which is the nature of litigation. And any kind of legal proceedings after that, of course, are going to cost more money, whether it's an appeal, whether we do something in the trial court again, maybe monitoring the EIR. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. So we're focused on our financials up to, November 17th. That's sort of in everybody's mind. But, by the time we get there, we may be in a position to project into the following year what we're going to need. We kind of don't know what we don't know at this point. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, John.
Hi, my name's John Hagan. I spoke at one of your meetings, last year sometime, and I asked for your support for our end of town that they're trying to do the same thing, put a warehouse in the middle of a residential area. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your support, because a lot of you have showed up for the council meetings and spoke and showed your support. Because what happens in one side of the city affects the whole city, just like this lady said. And we appreciate all that you're doing to fight this end of town. We have this Tuesday night, our warehouse goes up in front of the council for a vote. We were able to get the planning commission to unanimously vote 5-0 to decline this warehouse. So their staff report, or the staff report, now reads all in our favor, and it appears, if everything goes right, I don't want to jinx it by celebrating too soon, but they recommend to the council that this project be denied. And I'm here to tell you that persistence prevails, and again, what happens on one side of town affects everybody. And so this is not just a Sun Lakes problem, it's a Banning problem. Well, actually, it's a whole pass problem.
Absolutely.
And so Tuesday at 5 o'clock is the council meeting, and the more the merrier. Well, you don't, even if you're not going to speak, the show of support really makes an impression. Thank you again.
Thank you, John.
Hi, is this on?
Yep.
Is
Yeah,
this
you
on?
just talk right in the top.
Could I just get a contact number for the baked goods to deliver?
Go ahead, Jan. Oh, she'll write it out for you.
Oh, thank you.
If anybody else, she'll write a whole bunch of them if she needs. There you go, Virginia.
Now, as they were discussing about the EIR.
Right there.
Okay, as they were discussing about the EIR, I do remember when this all came about. I went to the meeting at the Verdana after speaking to an engineer who Sherry and I have spoken to many times to, and she had told me, she did confirm the fact that all the testing and everything was submitted in during 2020. I live at that wall. I live at that very corner of that wall. I will hear the diesel trucks when the train is down. I hear the everything, the smell of the diesel when it stops there at the freeway. It's to me personally, and I mean this, it's despicable how anyone would want to do that to seniors in this area and the businesses, because we do have family homes on the other side of Highland Springs, families that have children. So please, we need to fight this as much as possible. I take it very personal because I live there on the north side. I remember when all the city people were over there in 2019 looking over the wall. I thought, okay, good, they're gonna build some retail there, some shops, Not that my husband would be happy about that, but, but to know that the evilness, to me, I say this coming from me, not from anybody else because I take it personal. This is our home. We live here, okay? Mr. and Mrs. Hagan, I've been at city council with them. You know, they're part of history of banning. We're all a part of history of banning. So we should take this all very, very personal. You know, this is our home. We deserve to live here. You know, we worked hard to live here, whether it's on the other side of banning, north side of banning, east side of banning, it doesn't matter. This is home. And for the city to always talk about, let's make downtown beautiful. The people make banning beautiful. That's what it's at.
Thank you, Virginia. Go ahead, whoever you got back there, Jim.
My name is Helen Enriquez. I'm not a resident of Sun Lakes, but I am concerned. I attended a meeting where the Banning city manager spoke, and he said that in his history, he had never seen a project like this overturned by a community action group, and I think we should make it our goal to prove him wrong.
Yes, ma'am, that's been our goal from day one. The minute, when we, way back in January of 22, when we met with KMBC's reporter here at one of the residents here, he immediately reached out to the city manager, and at that time the city manager said exactly what you just said. He's never seen it. We followed it all along. Well, there's a lot of experts that feel that he hasn't, and let's hope the judge agrees. Any further questions? Well, that ended up a good one to end on. So I just want to thank everybody for everything again. Thank you for one piece of business. Unfortunately, this one is specifically for the Sun Lakes residents. The bar and lounge are open. Historically, this crowd doesn't go in there afterwards, so they might be shorthanded. Just be prepared for that. So, but they are open. So anyway, on a serious note now, thank you again for everything. Thank you again for your support and helping us battle this. All right, thank you. Good night.